Elevation has been accused of marketing towards other church members. This coming from Protestia, a website I'm not familiar with, but I did read it and the evidence is there. Shame on Elevation for marketing to other churches. A church is called to equip the people to make disciples. But when you have other motives, you see marketing like this, and it honestly makes marketing harder for good, honest organizations like us, Nava Church Marketing, and other agencies that want to help the churches reach more people, to help make the church invite easier. But instead, Elevation has been the evidence has been brought to show that Elevation has not been marketing towards uh, um, lost people in the community or people in need of community resources and actual ministry. They've been marketing to try to steal customers from other bases. So let's look at the evidence here, and let's actually talk about what marketing should be for churches, because it ain't this. If you haven't met before, my name is Justin Nava, and if we haven't met, I take full responsibility for that. I run Nava Church Marketing, and the channel here is to help show what marketing can do for the church. In this case, what it shouldn't be for the church. And I want to help you see what's possible when you use marketing to help your church reach more people. Because if more people knew your church existed, then your church could make a greater impact, but not like this. So we have high-tech sheep stealing. And let me jump to the story here. We've got a lead pastor, Dr. Kelly from Central Triad Church. He invited someone who worked at ABC News to come to the church and give him some ideas on what we could do for advertising. And if you ever want something like this, first of all, God bless this that happened to bring this to light. But if you ever want to get some ideas on advertising, I highly encourage you, go to bestknownchurch.com. I've got a free training on everything you can do to advertise your church to help make your church better known. All right. And then she says, well, you could always geofence. And the pastor doesn't know what geofencing is, how that can help marketing. And the marketer then told Dr. Kelly, before she worked at Elevation Church, she was in charge of geofencing for the Elevation Church. Okay. And what geofencing is essentially targeting a certain area. Think about it like mailers. If you've never done digital marketing, when you do mailers, you get 1,000, 10,000 mailers, and you say, I want to mail these to every resident in this zip code. You're essentially building a geofence around that zip code, and you're sending mailers into that area. That's the fenced in area. That's geofencing. What you can do in digital marketing is you can say, well, you can go even granular. You can pick an address like the church and say, within a 5-mile radius around the church, I want to show an ad to these kinds of people. I want to show an ad to mothers and fathers. I want to show an ad to low income people. I want to show an ad to people over 60 or people under 60. And you're drawing a fence around an area that's a geo fence. Okay. Now, there's some comments here about Elevation. And she said, we would geofence all the churches. And pastor says, I'm sorry, what? And she said, when we launch a new campus somewhere, we would go in and geofence all the church locations in that city. So whoever would go to church would find out about this new church. That's not okay. Uh, my agency specifically wants the church to be known to the lost people. There are so many people who don't know that Jesus Christ can help them and don't know that the church can help them and lead them to hope and healing through Jesus Christ. See, marketing for churches should be all about getting the word out to the community, to the people that are hurting, not about transplanting church members from church to church. We are seeing this over the last decade of churches that are conglomerating and small churches shutting down, and everyone's moving to larger churches, and mega churches are consolidating these large congregational bases. And I'm not saying that's inherently bad, but when it's done like this, where a church comes in and says, let's go steal other church members, the reason you plant a church, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, the reason you plant a church is because there's an unreached people group in an area. So you plant a church in that area, you go and make disciples in that area to reach the people that no other church in that area is reaching. That's a good thing. And that's why we do marketing, to help reach the people that you're not reaching right now. But instead, if you have a different mindset of why you plant a church, you might geofence ads, or you might say, who do we want? We want people in existing churches. And I'm not talking about the ones that aren't being served or maybe go through church hurt, like we talked about yesterday with the Gateway Church story. But these are like just people going to church. And they say, we want those people. Why would you want those people? Well, she says it's a built in tithing base. And Dr. Kelly said that he misspoke slightly here. And what she actually said was it's a customer base that already tithes. That you can believe whatever you want about tithing and what it should be, how it should be taken care of, right? I think we can all agree, though, that if a church plants and the first people it wants to go to and target are the built-in customer base, the people that are already tithing, that's a lot. That, first of all, that's a lot different than finding sponsors that are going to help build up the church, help fund the church, help get the initiatives off the ground, right? Because some churches, the way they plant, they start in a house. Others, they raise $100,000 and they rent a building and they get some equipment and they go in there, and that's their prerogative. I'm not here to comment on that. What I am going to comment on is a church says we're going to plant a church here, and the first thing we're going to do is not reach the lost, is not reach the hurting, is not go out in the community. We're going to go to where the established customer base is. Not okay. This is not okay. And it even says, rather than set up geofencing around schools, clubs, or community centers, they intentionally set up the marketing geofence around churches, drawing digital lines around parking lots, knowing that any congregants they could lure or draw away with promises of better kids programs, better music, would be customers with attractive giving, making them uniquely equipped to feed the beast. And I think some of this, I wouldn't word it that extreme, although I am a marketer. Some of y'all know that I do extreme headlines and such. This is a problem when the church becomes all about the programs, because they can lure people away. And this is why I constantly say small churches especially need to know how to promote and get their church known, because wolves in sheep's clothing, churches with false teachers and false prophets, know that these things exist, and they will go after not only your church members but also the people that you are trying to reach, to lure them away. So by the time they do find out about you, they're automatically comparing you, and they're comparing you based on the programs. That's why our marketing focuses on discipleship relationships, focuses on Jesus with the church as the vehicle for the person, not about the programs, not about having the biggest slide, not about having the cushiest chairs or the tastiest communion wafers. Haven't seen that marketing yet, but I'm sure someone somewhere has had that thought. And Dr. Kelly talks to someone from Elevation, and they find out Elevation. This is a text from the Elevation team to the representative that Dr. Kelly's talking to. We don't geofinch by the name of the church, just by the church itself. And they say, in other words, Elevation wasn't explicitly targeting his church as an individual locale, but as a part of a group of churches. So, again, you don't have to say everyone that goes to this church, let's hit an ad with them. But they can say everyone within this general area. Like, for example, I think I mentioned on the show yesterday, Tuesday, I've got about 3 churches, technically 4, between me and the grocery store. And our grocery store is pretty close. So if Elevation came into town, all they would have to do is just drop a point in the middle of those 3 and say, anyone within 3 miles, let's hit them with an ad on Sunday morning. And by the way, the people that go to those churches that aren't going on that Sunday morning wouldn't get the ad because they might live outside of that 3-mile radius. I might live outside that 3-mile radius. And Dr. Kelly just flat out says, I would rather you bring signs and come stand in the parking lot and let everyone know that you're here, that to do what you're doing right now, it's unethical and wrong. And I agree. It is unethical and wrong. And I really, really enjoy what Dr. Kelly here. He has a word for pastors, and I'm not going to read it because it's outside the scope of here. But we are not perfect, but we are not thieves and robbers. And the harvest is plentiful, but not everyone is harvesting for the right reasons. So Never, ever. And I would never do this. I would, even if someone said, hey, can we geofence around local churches and show an ad on Sunday morning to the people that cross that threshold? Now, it's not a guarantee that they're going to see the ad. Okay. But you're just telling Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whoever, hey, if someone's in this area at this time, yeah, go ahead and show them this ad. That's not okay. If a pastor told me to do that, I would not be okay with that. I would not be okay with one church saying, "Hey, there's a camp here at this church this week. Let's hit them with an ad on VBS. All the parents see our VBS coming up." I would not be okay with that. That is that is with the aim of transplanting Christians. That's not what our marketing agency is about, and that's not what marketing should be about. In church communications, you've got marketing and you've got communications. Communications is internal communications to your church. Okay, at $1 million business, you've maybe got 4 to 7 people on your team, and it's hard to keep those 7 people on your team. Imagine having a volunteer run communications for 200 people, heck, even 100. It's hard. That's why communications needs to be separate from marketing, and marketing needs to be focused on making the church known to people who don't know that the church. Actually, it's to make the church known to people who don't even know the church. They have hurts that they don't understand the church can help. They have the pull of God, and they're thinking, what do I need to do next? And that's where your church can show up via marketing, because word of mouth, your inner circle can only get so far, but marketing can get out, but not like this. Not like this. So elevation, you guys, that's first of all, that's the wrong church planning mindset. We can talk about that later. That's a different podcast episode, YouTube channel. But this needs to stop right now. They need to reevaluate how they're going to fund their churches. If it's taking from existing churches, that's not okay, because that compounds. You take first of all, most churches, 80% of the funds to do ministry comes from 20% of the people. You take half of those people, then the church shuts down. And now they've got a larger customer base to bring in. That's not okay. And look, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just doing what they're told. Maybe they're just like, they don't even think of it that way. And they're like, oh, we're just trying to get the people that aren't being met because we're going to be able to serve them better. I don't care if you think that. Not okay. So if you want to have a church plant and you want to market, first of all, you got to figure out who you're best called to serve. Who are you planting to reach? And if you're planting to reach an existing group of church people and you just want to take them away, first of all, I wouldn't work with you. Second of all, don't do that. And third of all, there might be a better way to reach the unreached people group. And if you want to reach those unreached people group in your community, you have to know how to communicate them the right message in the right way and the right time, and call them to the right action. That's what we do. So if you're not following the channel, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Is this okay? Have you tried this? Would you do this? But thank you for watching all the way through. And I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. God bless.